Hi everyone, today I'd like to talk about how most government contracting business lose more by bidding than not bidding. I'm going to be specifically talking about bid or no bid decisions and how smart decisions can win you government contracts and in the process save you a lot of time, money, and effort. So without further ado, let's get into it. So what's a bid no bid decision? By definition, it's a strategic decision to pursue or pass on a government contracting opportunity. So what's the optimal timing to do that? You want to be as effective as possible. So the earlier you actually make a bid no bid decision, the better it is because that way you save a lot of effort, time, and human resources as well. So we want the intelligence and making the decision on bid or no bid as early as possible. The earlier, the better. So what's the real cost of actually making poor bid no bid decision? Let's say an opportunity, we thought it was a bid, but then it turned out it's no good for us. Or the opposite, we said no bid for a opportunity and then turned out to be a good fit for our business. So when we go after bid, in most cases, and these are just average numbers, it's going to cost us $15,000 per bid. And that's obviously for businesses that are in the government contracting space because they know how much is expensive to actually make a bid formulated, the time, the effort, the hours, the team, the resources that you have to put into it. So on average, you're losing a lot per bid. Also, you're wasting a lot of time and effort. Most solicitations, they have hundreds and hundreds of pages that you have to review, you or your team. So that's going to take you a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of focus time because reading these documents is not easy. We're talking about hundreds of pages and a lot of technical and government contracting jargon. So it's not an easy process. This could take you weeks, days, weeks, if not months, based on the complexity of the government contract you're going after. And finally, when you go after the wrong bid or you go after the wrong solicitation, what ends up happening is you lose faith and you lose hope because you're losing, you spend so much time, effort, and money, and then you lose. So the chance of burnout is high. Yeah, there's 60% chance of burnout if you keep bidding on the wrong, if you keep making the wrong bidding decision. So what are the key traps that you have to be aware of when it comes to bid decisions? One, if you are chasing everything in your NAICS code, then you have to step back and have a look. You don't want to be bidding on every single solicitation. You have to pick and choose correctly what you think is best fit for your business. Also, if you have a reactive approach, so you're scrambling to respond to RFPs instead of planning your pipeline systematically, as I've mentioned before. We want to start from sources sought. We want to start from requests for information. We want to start even better from forecast before it even lands in SAM.gov. So if you have a systematic pipeline, as I've taught you multiple times in multiple videos, you're not reactive. You don't see a solicitation and you want to jump directly on it and just scramble to respond. You're starting early on in the process. You have a pipeline set up. By the time the RFP lands, you are in communication with the agency. You have all the resources. You have all the documentation ready. You are primed and in good position to respond and actually win. Third and really important one is the lack of relationship. Your customer, the government, they are important. They are your customer. So you have to have some sort of a communication with them. And if you actually have a pipeline and you start the process early on, as I've mentioned multiple times, you're able to build a relationship with the agency. You're able to ask them questions about the budget. You're able to ask them questions about the requirement. In some cases, you are able to form the solicitation. And you could ask questions about incumbents. You could ask questions about what exactly they are looking for. And finally, this one happens a lot, which is scope misreading. Because you're rushed, you read the requirements, you miss some of them, or you read some of them and you misinterpret them. And in that case, you end up submitting a bid that's not going to win because you didn't understand the requirements carefully. What we want to do now is we want to avoid these traps, so we're always making a correct and accurate bid, no bid decision. So what's the framework or what's the criteria that we're going to have to base our bid or no bid decision on? One, which is the most important one, technical fit. Can my business meet or exceed the scope and technical requirements of this project or not? If not, then I'm going to be wasting my time, effort, and money submitting a bid for this contract. If I know for a fact I'm not able to meet the requirements or even exceed in some cases, then we don't want to waste our time. We we're better off just not bidding on that specific solicitation. 2, past performances. Do I have past performances that are relevant to the requirements of the opportunity I'm looking at? 3, is my pricing positioned so I can have a competitive price compared to other businesses that are going to compete with me? And finally, strategic alignment. Does this opportunity advance my business in the future? This is a really important one because a lot of businesses, they just want business, they just want contracts, but you have to think strategically because each one of these contracts is a past performance. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a portfolio with the government in a specific niche. So winning opportunities in the future is easier and more straightforward. But if I'm all over the place bidding in different niches, even if I'm winning, my portfolio is not that strong in any one of these niches. So I want to dedicate my effort and time in one specific niche so I could build a strong portfolio and strong past performance profile. And finally, which is difficult to gauge, but it's very important, is you have to get information on the incumbent, especially if it's a recompete. So what I mean by that, a lot of contracts some of them are new, so these have not been posted before by the agency. Other are recompete, so they had a contract with a different business before you, and now they're opening up the competition again. So a key important question to ask here before you waste your time is, how did the incumbent do? So if you get a good signal that they really like it, and they're forced to kind of post this opportunity again because of some sort of legislation, then it might be smart to not bid because you know that the incumbent has a strong chance of winning because they like them. If they said they have some sort of hesitation or maybe they didn't perform as well, the incumbent didn't perform as well as they should have, then that's a good sign for you because in that case, your chances are better off. You're not competing directly with an incumbent that did a really good job. And also, it's also important to ask if this is a new contract or recompete. This way, you can understand if there's competition from an existing business that worked with that agency. So getting this information is not easy if you're starting off at the solicitation or the request for proposal phase. You want to start as early as possible, ask your questions, and develop a strong relationship with the agency. So now I want to kind of segue to how SAM Search can make fast, confident decision easier. So a key thing I like to do when I'm searching for a government contract in a specific niche is I want to quickly make bid no bid decisions because it's a lot of time. If I have to go into each one of the contracts, read a long description, it's going to take me a lot of time. So first thing, I want to know a quick summary about it. I want to get the type, I want to get the agency, and I want to get the NAICS code. And if there's a set aside, I want to know that as well. And I can filter by those as well. For example, if we're looking at this contract, we see that the agency's intention is actually to negotiate a software renewal for a program with a specific company called DataWorks. So I don't really want to spend a lot of time on this. Actually, I don't want to spend any time on this because they are negotiating with the incumbent, with an existing company. So there's no bid to be submitted here. Instead of going on SAM.gov and reading each one of these, this way I saved myself at least 15 minutes to understand that this is a no-go for me. Now, this way we can scroll and go to this one. This one is good because it's sources sought. It's early on in the process, in the pipeline. So it's good for me. I could start early. I could ask all the questions to the agency and I could help them shape up the opportunity. What I want to do is I want to read quickly. So the FBI, they want information from qualified software developers for a commercial off-the-shelf or EHR solution. Perfect. That's what I specialize in. I get the idea, I get the agency, I get the gist of the contract, what it's about, and then here they mention what the solution has to be, and then the respond deadline, I have some time to respond for this sources sought. So this is a great opportunity for me. I was able to quickly make, okay, this is going to fall into maybe we're going to consider this. It's definitely possible. It's not no bid. So what I could do is I could go even further, come in here and break it down to get all the flags out of the way. First, I said break it down and give me all the details about this. What I would like to ask the AI next, and this is important, is the questions that would make this a red flag for me. That would just make me, okay, I don't want to do this. Now, one important thing is I would like to know if there's a set aside. Sometimes it's not as a specific filter. So I might want to ask, is it mentioned that it's a set aside for small businesses? So what I want to do, I'm going to make this. I'm going to ask if it's a set aside for small business. Now, this is not something major for me, but it would be really good if it is. So it says that it doesn't specifically state that. It's not a problem still, but if it is for your business, then you want to be careful, and that would make it, if being a small business set aside is a condition for you, you want to get that as soon as possible without you scrambling through the documents. So you ask one question, you save yourself a lot of time. Now, my second question would be if there's a requirement about past performance. Now, in this case, it's an RFI. So I wouldn't really know if they have mentioned anything about past performances. So what I'm going to ask the AI, is there any information about requirements for past performances in software development? Because it's a software development contract. I want to know, do they explicitly mention that? Now, I have past performances in software development, so it should not be a concern for me. But if you are a business that doesn't have that and it's a condition, then it's something we want to be worried about, and it might be a no bid for you. So it said that they should provide evidence showing that the company capability to provide the requested service. So we have to show in some way that we are capable of doing this. They don't explicitly mention past performance, but what they're asking that explicitly do not submit past performance information. They just want request for information. They want you to respond about how you would develop this and show evidence that you are capable of doing that. Now, another thing, if you are not sure if it's a recompete or a new contract, sometimes in the document they list that it's a recompete or if it's a new contract. So especially if it gets later on in the process, in the pipeline, so you could ask, is this a new or recompete contract? Now, I'm not expecting a lot from this because it's an RFI, and usually RFI documents do not contain a lot of information. So as I said, it does not explicitly state whether it's for a new contract or recompete, but it describes the effort as market research. So a market research, most likely that they have not had this in the past, so it's most likely a new contract, which is a good thing. Now, you could ask about, for example, when is it due? Because that's important. You could say, are there any scheduled site visits if it's a construction contract? So these things, if you miss the deadlines on, it's a big thing. It's a major thing. So you could ask your questions to see if there's a competition or any risk, if the timing and resources, if you have that, or you're matching the requirements, if there's a strategic fit for your business. So you could ask the AI, does this align with my company's core values? So you might be looking at a contract, and obviously this AI would have to have a context of your business profile. So I didn't provide that. But you might want to get that information quickly. If this is a good fit for your business, just ask the AI about it. And if it has the information, then it will tell you, yes, it is a good fit or not. So you could also ask, is it worth bidding on this, especially once we get later in the stage, if I don't have past performances with this specific agency? So what we want to do, the main point, I don't want to dwell too long on this, is we want to get to the flags, the red flags or green flags, as soon as possible. So initially, when we were doing the searches, that's it. You have to graduate from the search phase, which is making sure the summary aligns or not. In this case, definitely not. This is an existing contract that is being renegotiated, so we have no time to waste on this. Whereas for this one, it sounds like a really good opportunity for our business. So what we want is it graduated to the next phase where we ask direct questions about whether it would be a good fit for us or not. If we care about set aside, for example, if we have past performances, if it aligns with the strategic positioning and fit of our own business. So this makes it a lot easier and faster to make the bid or no bid decision as soon as possible. So here's a case study, the cost of chasing versus the power of focusing. So company A, without naming companies, they do a spray and pray, which is very common. And honestly, a lot of people on YouTube kind of vouch for this strategy. I'm 100% against it. They bid on like 10 RFPs. They see one in their next code and they go ahead and submit a bid for it. They spend a lot of money, $150,000 on bid development, especially when we're talking about big projects. When we talk about construction, software, defense, these contracts cost a lot to actually develop a bid. It's not cheap at all. And then they require a lot of people and a lot of hours to actually get the bid done, and then they win nothing. They lost money. Whereas you have company B that strategically chooses which contract they want to go after. They start early in the process. They start the pipeline at the RFI, sources sought, or even the forecast stage. And they spend money on proposal development. And they actually win 2 contracts because they were focused on these few contracts, 4, and they won 2 out of them. They were focused. They were engaged with the agency. They had a pipeline and they start early on in the process, as I have mentioned. So what's an actionable takeaway for you as a business in government contracting? 1, you want to develop and implement a repeatable framework. So we want to establish a consistent bid, no bid process. And if you have rules for yourself and your business and your employees, if you have any, then this way you're able to establish a process that every time you're faced with an opportunity, it goes through few questions, few checks, and based on that, you make a bid, no bid decision. It's not emotional. There is nothing to it. It's just a simple process that ends up with a bid or no bid decision. 2, we want to leverage AI tools like SAM search to eliminate hours of document review and quickly identify the right opportunity, if it's a good fit or not. You want to say early, you want to say no as early as possible, and you want to do it often. Most opportunities are not going to be a good fit for you. And if you're seeing a lot that you think are good fit, then maybe you have to reevaluate your metrics, because we want to specialize and we want to niche down as much as possible. So we want to say no early and often. And finally, we want to build a strategy-first pipeline. We want to develop a proactive approach to identifying opportunities rather than reacting to every RFP, and we're surprised when we see an RFP. That shouldn't be the case. As I've mentioned in multiple videos, we want to develop a strategy and a pipeline where we are following all the way from sources sought and hopefully until the end when we win the opportunity. That's it. I hope this was helpful. Make sure, if you want to make quick bid, no bid decisions, if you are serious about government contracting, to check SAM.gov. It's by far the easiest government contracting solution. You'll be able to access federal, state, grants, SBIR, STTR, and much more. So if you're serious about government contracting, make sure to get it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.